I'm kind of a wanderer, so I had to take the mic because I need to come and talk to you. Today, I'm just going to give you a quick overview of sort of the core and evolution of my research program. We won't really have time to get into a specific project, so I'm just going to give you kind of the overview. I'm a networks researcher, if it doesn't come across by my word cloud there. I do network social and social systems. And this word cloud isn't actually something that I constructed. It came from putting together all of the abstracts of my work. So you can see that this really is my emphasis in my research stream, is in the social networks and social systems. And really, the genesis of my research came from the social influence and social capital. That's where I started thinking about social systems, is social influence and social capital. And that's where you'll see the majority of my work. I also work in the context of innovation, sales, and sustainability. That tends to be where my research is grounded in those contexts. And I also do a little bit of work in network analysis methods. So I'll walk you through it. One of the things that is a great challenge in doing systems and networks research is the intensity of primary data collection that's required if you're studying interpersonal networks. It's really difficult, it's really intensive, they change constantly. And so one of the goals of my research is to look at what we can learn from interaction structures that are created from data that managers have access to daily. I was just having a conversation with my seatmate there, Tim, about the importance to me of applied and practical research. And so being able to take something and managers can actually do something with that. And with network research, that can be challenging because we tell them, hey, why don't you go ahead and survey your employees every month and find out how their networks are developing. That can be a challenge. And so I wanted to see what data and what information we could extract from data that managers routinely have on file. But being a networks person, I'm a visual person. I think pictures are worth 1,000 words, so I'm going to walk you through this in pictures. I started with systems and networks. And my first research stream really focused on social influence and the offset of the sort of offshoot, which is this idea of social capital. And then I started thinking, as Nada said earlier today, you start sort of evolving your thinking, and I started thinking bigger and macro and started thinking about the interaction of social systems and marketing systems. And I'll tell you a little bit about that as well. And then finally, I work with some great methodologists. I'm an applied researcher, but I like to think of myself as a boundary spanner. So a lot of heavy methodologists who work on designing algorithms, and I work with them, partner with them to show how we can sort of transfer those algorithms into applied research and how applied researchers can use these tools that are being developed, these cutting edge tools. And so those are sort of the three dimensions of my work. I have two publications in these spaces. One is in Psychometrica. It's a multi-objective taboo search heuristic paper looking at how you can find optimal positions in multiple matrices using multiple criteria. So most of the time we use a single criteria, and how can we do that with multiple criteria, which is a very big problem for applied researchers. So my role is, how can a researcher use this methodology? And then looking at sales, education, and performance, and how the system of educating sales people, how effective is it in the real world? And so we were able to connect data from the education side to performance post-employment. Those papers are published. These are on their way to being published. So the green indicates that the manuscript is complete. It's come back from friendly reviews, and we're preparing it for submission. The two yellow, they're part of my dissertation work, and they have come back from friendly reviews also and getting prepared, but they're the dissertation work. These pieces are pieces where we've collected the data, and we're doing really cool things like looking at triadic influence, moving beyond the dyad of two people and their social influence and the effects of social influence to what the effect of others might be, others' behavior. So we're looking at triadic specifically in teams and leaders and those types of things. And we're also looking at dark networks, what happens when you have an interaction or you have a group of people that aren't happy with change that's happening and how that impacts innovation and research and development performance. And then also political skill and network position. So what are the antecedents to your network positions? How do you get these network positions? And then how does that affect the outcomes for teams and leaders? This particular work is in progress. The data's been analyzed and the manuscript is under final construction, was recently quoted on Forbes.com. So it's exciting to be part of research that the real world is also very interested in. And then finally, this is the pipeline of conceptual work. We're at the conceptual development stage. So you can see that across my areas of interest, there is work that is at each stage of the pipeline development. Specifically, if you look at methods, I have a published paper, a paper that's almost ready to be sent out, and then 2 under conceptual development. Same with the social and marketing systems interactions, and which, by the way, this tiny houses and social movements, who knows what a tiny house is? I should check my time. I just realized I have 2 minutes. I can say a lot in 2 minutes. Who knows what the tiny house movement is? Do you know what it is? Okay, so this idea that these consumption movements, because it is a consumption movement, we're talking about how we consume, and tiny house is an example of that, and how that actually personifies a social movement and what that means for future consumption for us looking at the social system, right? And then you can see the earliest stream of work has, work sort of all along the pipeline. So overall, I'm a busy girl with a lot of research to do. And for those of you who are interested in this kind of work, the kind of things that I do, and I've talked to several people here who work on leaders and teams and who work on networks, and some interesting things that came out of today's presentations. I work in social network analysis and structural equation modeling primarily, but also do some hierarchical linear modeling. And I look at things like power bases and social influence, teams and leaders and their networks, and how the structures of the systems that we're embedded in affect our ability to be innovative, to be successful in sales, or to affect change in our sustainable sort of business model. And my wonderful group coordinator over here, Bruce, always says, what do I put on your bumper sticker? Who are you? What would I put on your bumper sticker? So this is for him. This is my bumper sticker that would summarize the things that I like to work on in research, and I look forward to talking to all of you and many of you who have interest in this similar area. Thank you so much.